Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Mike Gormley Show. And we're here with Jack Ashton, a Detroit native, longtime Los Angeles resident, and now he's back in Detroit and working in music there.
Yep.
I mentioned on the way out to the commercial, we listened to Bachman Turner Overdrive, who have nothing to do with Detroit, except they played there. Um,
Geez.
and
I
then
mean,
we came back in with Steely Dan, Ricky Don't Lose That Number,
right.
which again is not related to Detroit, but it is it's a special song by Steely Dan. So did you work with Steely Dan at all?
Yes. What happened after my Mercury days? I left Chicago, came back to Detroit, and did regional for ABC. And actually, Ricky, Don't Lose That Number was the first single I worked for ABC in Detroit for Steely Dan, because they had Do It Again before that and all that.
Mm.
But I mean, but Ricky, Don't Lose That Number was I mean, because of my relationship with how it kept blooming with Rosalie Trombley at CKLW over there in Windsor and Detroit. I was really lucky to have her tutoring me, so to speak, and knowing. And so
She
she
took
was
you
putting
in. She
yeah,
took
she
you in
was.
the lost little promotion man. Come in
I
here.
was. I know she really took me under her wing. She did that with a lot of the guys, and yeah. So you really knew what you wanted to bring into her, because you didn't want to, she was a tough cookie, but she was fair, and she knew that whatever she saw in me, she trusted me, and she was really good to put something records on for me very
Just
early.
to explain to the listeners, Rosalie Tremblay decided what music went on KCRW. I mean CK.
Yeah,
I'm getting LA mixed up.
yeah,
And so she decided to play Alice Cooper when nobody else was playing Alice Cooper
right.
or the Who or and she supported Detroit artists as well.
Hmm.
Um, she's a real true legend. Unfortunately, has passed away, but
Yeah,
um, it was something. It's something. She was your teacher. That says a lot because
yeah. Hmm.
that's being taught by one
Yeah,
of the legends.
right. It was very much so, and I know a lot of our other friends that are promotion people that came out of Detroit that you're still friends with are, they all say the same thing about her, because she was that kind of person. I
Yeah,
mean, yeah,
yeah.
if she knew that you had what it takes to do it and follow kind of like her guidelines to a certain degree, but there weren't hard guidelines, but she would favor.
Did she ever turn you down when you tried to get her to play a record?
No, because she explained that pretty pretty good, that don't come in with a pile of records, come in with your three top ones, and always go from your gut, what you got going on in the city, know your story ports. I mean, she was like a true teacher. I mean, she taught me to make sure that the stock was together, make sure there was enough records in the stores. I'm talking like 45s, the old
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
45s.
sure. Singles.
Yeah, yeah, singles. And so yeah, she and especially I being in Detroit, I was responsible for urban, country, whatever. I was working every format, when I
Hmm.
worked for even Mercury and for ABC or any record label. I was working whatever, but as things went on, she really wanted me to always bring in what I felt that CKLW would feel good about playing.
Uh-huh.
And that's what gave me the edge with her, and that's what I learned the most from her, is that and that's when I started to be able to get my records on there pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the phrase that was just
Hmm.
an
Yeah.
amazing kickoff to a career to be able.
Oh, no, no, and then she did the same thing, Mike. When I got transferred to San Francisco in 1975, she called the top top 40 station there, KFRC, which was another affiliate of CKLW's, and she called the program director and made sure. And then when I went to LA, she called KHJ. And
Yeah, really, that's great.
oh yeah, she painted the way for me everywhere I went. There was, and so even through all the years of me traveling to different cities like that, wherever there was a CKLW affiliate station, she would always back me up, and even through the years I wasn't in Detroit, I could still call her on the phone.
Yeah. Now,
Mhm.
the one thing people relate and connect Detroit with is Motown,
Oh yeah.
and they were in Detroit, but they weren't of the scene, if you will. They were not. They didn't play. Nobody from Motown played the Grande Ballroom, as an example. It was
No, no,
it
they had.
wasn't a definite wall between them and Detroit, but they didn't they well, I was a journalist there at the time, and they didn't want to talk to me. They didn't want to talk. They didn't want to deal with some people in Detroit. And so, did you ever work a Motown record?
Well, not for Motown, but I worked with the Four Tops when they were on ABC, and when I worked with Levi Stubbs, the original lead singer. I worked with the original band, and we had multiple hits with them, and at ABC Records, but they were no longer on Motown anymore. And so yeah, I mean, and everywhere I went, I mean, I worked with BB King, Bobby Blue Bland, Lamont Dozier. I mean, Carlton, little Carl Carlton. I mean, it was yeah, I had great success at the urban stations as well, and was able to cross them, as they would say, cross them over to pop
Yeah.
radio, which was CKLW.
Um, so I knew you in Detroit. I went to Chicago. I got into the record industry, and I turned around one day, and there you were.
Yeah. I know. We were over at 35 East Wacker, which is the old building, which was pretty classic to come into as a because I was I'm almost, as I remember, I was the first national album director for Mercury, and I was coming in on the heels of Maggie May, and obviously Uriah Heep was really hot. And then we signed the New York Dolls, and that was a complete trip. That whole scene. And then we signed Bachman Turner Overdrive, which was a big, which ended up being an amazing signing for sure.
Yeah, and then Rush.
Oh, Rush too, but I didn't work with Rush until they. I didn't work with Rush until I was at Polygram.
Okay.
So I didn't work with I had already left Mercury and came to Detroit working for ABC before I for you guys broke Rush. Fly by night.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was an amazing thing to watch, the beginnings of Rush. And it was not their beginning because they'd already been doing stuff, but
Yeah.
we got involved, and they went national and international. And
Oh yeah, just huge, just unbelievable,
but the radio was tough. I mean, I know you weren't working Rush, but radio did not accept them readily.
No, because the songs were too long. And
Mm,
that was part of the big problem, is that their songs were real. I mean, you didn't have any problem with rock radio to a certain degree, but the songs were a bit lengthy back then, and except for Fly By Night didn't see, I don't remember. That was their first single, I believe, or first hit track.
yeah, I don't
Mhm.
remember either, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, I see you're right. Their songs were five,
Yeah.
6 minutes long, and
Yeah.
very intricate. They weren't
Yeah.
really pop songs that you would find on the radio in those days.
No,
But I
no.
find it interesting that they became what they became without,
Top
for
40
the most
radio.
part, without radio. Yeah, without that kind of exposure.
Yeah, yeah, pop radio. They didn't. Yeah, they had rock radio, but they didn't have pop radio.
You're right, right, right.
Right.
But is probably fine with them.
Yeah, yeah. I wish I had been around for the Runaways, though. I mean, that would have been fun.
Oh, yeah. Well, I can tell you Runaway stories, but another time.
Okay.
Uh, yeah.
Yeah, because I was able to work with Joan Jett a few times down the road, but then that was fun with.
Well, um, I'm just wondering,
Yeah.
you know, all those bands in Detroit that were coming out, Bob Seger and the Stooges
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
Mitch Ryder, maybe Mitch Ryder was a little before.
Well, Mitch Ryder and the Detroit Wheels was happening before, like when I was still a kid, and then growing up, but they were a big deal here. Mitch was huge. He's still a big Detroit thing, and uh, but uh, but but Seeger didn't happen until he had the Silver Bullet Band. He kept having good brushes with success with Ramblin' Gambling Man and uh, you know and some of his other hits. But he just couldn't make it, even though he was on Capitol Records at the time. He just couldn't get it over until the Silver Bullet Band came together.
Yeah, yeah. It was frustrating because everybody knew he deserved it, and
Hmm.
but it worked out well for him.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um, the music we're playing today, you picked the music that we're getting to, and we're
Right.
coming up to another commercial, and in this case, it's going to be Robin Trower's "Long Misty Days."
Yeah.
Why'd you pick that one? Because Robin is, I don't know,
Well,
work with
well,
him?
yeah. After I went to San Francisco and did that uh, for a couple years or so, and then I got transferred down to Los Angeles, and then I worked for ABC for a short period of time on regional West Coast, which did me a lot of good, and then I got picked. Well, I was doing it all over again on the West Coast, so I was very lucky about that part of my career, about getting records played, and so.
Well, we
Uh,
have to pop out for a commercial now and listen to
oh,
Robin Trower Long
okay.
Misty Days as we go. So come on back, folks. There's more to be had.
Yeah.